Test. Espanoche. Espanol. Spanish cafe. Spanish guitar. Colombian coffee. So much Latin going on here. What? Good morning.
Good morning.
You made it.
Vroom.
Yeah, I gotta turn that down. I'm gonna have to start dancing.
Then you're not leaving.
Oh no.
Gee. Good morning.
Tell me this is the best batch ever.
Pretty close.
It's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So, you often ask if I want to go with when you run to the cities. The cities, by the way, is Minneapolis, St. Paul, about an hour away from us. And you often have to run to have parts worked on for your
there's
projects.
some things we don't do in our shop.
Some processes. And I love going with you. The early part of our marriage, we spent mostly driving around with a car, doing a multi-level business. So we early on...
I thought you were going to say because we were homeless or something.
Well, I made sure to clarify because you could think of all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so they're fun.
We made a lot of money with that. We did a lot of really good business all over the U.S.
So I love going with you, and I said to you this morning, but I went with you yesterday, and I managed to work on some things on the road, which fortunately I can do some computer work and business on the road.
Yep.
But I end up feeling quite anxious. And I got some things done, but it's harder when you're in a vehicle. It depends on what you're doing, but the stuff that I needed to do was more challenging with just the motion of the vehicle and a number of things. Not impossible.
Well, it's not good to just look down constantly when you're driving. That's how you can develop car sickness, if your body doesn't get to orient on the motion. So.
Well, I don't get car sick, fortunately, but I don't want to start it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And
it would be motion sickness, not technically car sickness. I'm so sick of the car. So
I decided not to go with today because all of my stuff is done on the computer. And I don't like that feeling of having work to do still. And, it'd be better like in the afternoon or the weekend to go with and do our fun stuff. So explaining all that because, I do appreciate that you ask, and and it can be difficult to say no, and I don't know if it's reasonable to just say, well, Tara, you got all your stuff done yesterday. Was it really something you had to be concerned about? But that's also in hindsight. When you have a list of things to do, sometimes you don't know what's going to pop up. And especially after a major site change, there are things popping up.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's good to not be available at a moment's notice because people will figure out their problems on their own.
Oh, you're talking about the site stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten better at that too. And some things are just like, oh, that was a consequence of making a big site change that I did not foresee.
Yeah.
So that's the circumstance of this morning. So you're like, do you want coffee? I'm like, well, I won't turn down. Yeah. I said I can spend some time together right away this morning, but I'm not going with. So here we are. I
appreciate it. So, marital arts. What are the marital arts? Number 1 is patience.
Patience. 2 starts with a C.
Communication. And we have number 3 as cooperation.
And then 4 comes naturally from cooperation.
Sex.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I made that one up.
I don't think that's number 4. That's probably number 10, realistically.
Well,
after you've been married for a while.
You said early on, and you were right, it sounds like a ploy, but that it is good for the immune system, and it is definitely good for your relationship. So,
oh, most definitely.
Yes, but
I'm glad you figured out one of my ploys.
Yes. So the oxytocin is released after orgasm, and so that's the bonding, what they typically call the bonding hormone. And so, of course, the more often you are doing it, the more
intimate.
Yes, the more regular your bond is, even neurochemically renewed. Yeah. So, I would say it has to be higher than 10 for sure.
Okay, so.
And I think, as I was listening to this podcast, it's a really great podcast, by the way, Andrew Huberman Labs. He's a Stanford professor, neurologist, and ophthalmologist of neurology and ophthalmology. And he lays a lot of things out. And I think it also, the way he lays it out, allows you to connect some dots. And so just that example, I think, explains why people or couples can get addicted to even doing it, let's just say, because in this sense I think it's just doing it after fighting. Yeah. So you get all the rush of hormones and stuff from a fight. Adrenaline is probably a big one, and you probably get a what feels like a good release, like after a good workout. And then if you do it, then you get the bonding hormone. And so I think you're really negatively reinforcing that's what your relationship is built upon.
Yeah.
And so he didn't lay that out specifically in the podcast.
There's a term for that. It's called make-up sex.
Yeah.
And lots of people say that make-up sex is the best sex. But, yeah, I mean, I've heard the way some people that I've known fight, and then they're, like you say, they're bonding in the absolutely negative behaviors. They're going for the brain chemicals that they get when they are fighting and arguing and screaming, and then they're going for the chemicals they get when they make up. It's the extremes. And
you have something playing. The music's not playing.
It's not a viable way of living. It's really not. So, people like that, they don't usually last in a relationship, or they do end up, if they do, they end up by themselves, like they have nobody they can hang out with, and people just avoid them. So,
well, you tend to talk with quite a few guys about relationships. Way more than I talk to anyone or women.
Well, and eventually they just destroy each other.
Well, life is challenging enough. Well, imagine how productive a couple and a community and a society could be if people weren't doing that.
If they put that energy towards something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe to someone who does this, it comes across as judgmental. It's actually just more, I would say, observation and just kind of thinking from someone who doesn't do that. And, life is already, like I said, challenging.
Right.
And there are so many ways that we can easily get in our own way.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to judge them, because I'll judge enough for the 10 of us. I'll judge the hell out of everything.
So it is, I think, listening to different stuff. Like, I really enjoy this podcast, the Huberman Labs podcast.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about ours.
Well, I'm a little biased towards that, too. But I think it's really helpful to see life and see things from a different perspective. And so, yeah.
So which perspective are you talking about, seeing things differently?
Well, you know, the neurochemistry in particular. And I like that he has a really balanced approach in the sense that it sounds like he's not just he's not just going with what is new and popular and has all the hype. You know, it sounds like he's really balancing the research, you know, looking at a variety of research, as well as implementing, suggesting really practical solutions. So primarily free things that you can do.
So behavior modification if you're having brain chemical issues.
Yeah,
he talks about that kind of stuff.
Like, he starts out with sleep. You know, because what I surmise is in the later podcast is if you don't have your sleep right, a lot of other things are going to be off.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah?
Has he talked about water yet?
Probably not as prominently as we would.
As he should.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sleep doesn't help if you're dehydrated. Sleep doesn't help if you don't have proper nutrition. So I think a lot of these scientifically trained people miss the basics. They miss them very, very often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, obviously he'll specialize more in his specialty, and I hear he'll talk more about his specialty. I think he's more broadly speaking than most, you know, professors in his situation. Even that he does even address, he talks about how he eats, or I don't recall water as prominently, but it's certainly the basics are covered more than...
Well, let's do it here. How much water do you need every day?
I do really agree with the half your body weight in ounces.
Yeah.
So if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of water a day. Mm-hmm. So that's nearly half a gallon.
So I need more than 105 ounces a day.
And if you're exercising, sweating, pregnant, nursing, doing any kind of
then you need
cleanse, you need more.
Yeah. And that's good, clean, filtered.
Yes, not distilled, not reverse osmosis,
right,
which strips the water of its benefits.
Tested spring water would be the best. If you can find a spring near your house, or we like to buy Mountain Valley spring water, which is the same water that they provide for Congress, United States Congress. We like to buy that.
For many, many years, they've been doing that.
Yeah. So good, clean spring water is the best because it's going to have minerals from the ground, from the rocks, and it's going to be filtered naturally.
Yeah.
And if it spring fed, it was moving, which is good. You don't want to drink city water. If you drive around your town and you see water towers, and then you see these little funny looking fins and antennas off your water towers, mm-hmm. you're going to then realize that they have cell signal on your water tower. And if you read Masaru Emoto's book, Messages in the Water, you'll realize that frequencies change water. Mm-hmm. Because words written on the sides of bottles with water flash frozen and then looked at under a microscope shows symmetry with good words and asymmetry with bad words. And self-signal frequencies are bad frequencies. Mm-hmm. They're basically microwaves.
Right.
So you don't want to drink your city water even if it tastes good. You want to filter your water. And you want to talk to your water. Every bottle of water I pick up, I have one in my hand right now, I say love and wisdom and health and that type of thing before I drink it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do check it out. I mean, he has several books, Masaru Emoto. So I think it's MASUA. You'll look it up.
Yeah.
And there are some books too, like Messages in Water, I believe is the one, has some amazing images. So whether you like to read it or not, I think my soul was very Minnesotan there. Whether you like to read or not, the images themselves are very impactful, and you'll get the message of Messages in Water.
So there's two things. It's hidden messages in water, but there's also the hidden messages in water. So there may have been two, depending on where it was published. Sometimes they change the name a little bit. Like if it was in Europe, they might just say Hidden Messages in Water. But on the cover it says The Hidden Messages in Water, but the is very small. So you can just type in Hidden Messages in Water, Masaru, M-A-S-A-R-U, Emoto, E-M-O-T-O. And that we have several copies and we give them away. I think we only have one copy right now because we gave them away.
Yeah.
But if you read it, I mean, you're just blown away. Just blown away.
Hey, let's do a giveaway. Let's pick one of those books, the Hidden Messages of Water.
Yeah.
And let's see who's
listening.
Yeah, see who's listening.
So how do we do that? How do we let them contact us?
Yeah, there's that. Well, you got to figure out how to contact us.
The first one to contact us gets Hidden Messages in Water gets a free.
We're on all kinds of social media too. Well, we'll send you an extra book or something because
John Backlund on Instagram, JONBAKLUND, all one word on Instagram.
We're pretty easy to find. We're pretty
you can
unique
message
name.
me. You can IM me.
Yep. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, even though neither of us use Twitter much.
John Backlund, all one word, on Twitter also. Although I might not see it for a month. I don't have, just to tell people, why wouldn't you see it? I mean, I've got lots of people actually talk to me about that. Hey, people email me and say, hey, I hit you up on Instagram a month ago, but I don't have my notifications on for those apps.
Yeah.
I don't for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, not even my email. I don't get notifications on my phone because it would just be blowing up constantly. And so I just opened up my phone to look at my Twitter as far as my name, again, just to make sure my name is
your handle.
I said it was my handle. It's John Backlund, JONBAKLUND, all one word. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
So how do you think our podcast was yesterday in the car? That was the first time.
Well, we haven't released that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me.
I saw you working on the computer last night on SoundCloud, so I thought maybe you had uploaded it.
No, I was putting SoundCloud on our website, so our podcasts are there.
We have a website?
Well, it's not launched yet.
Oh, okay.
It's not published, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. It's daily discussion, but we don't do it daily, so I had a problem with that name. But I don't know if we'll release that one. Like you said, we're a little distracted. We're a little bit...
It feels very different when we're sitting at the table and we're face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, our car ride talks are enjoyable for us, but the change of environment really changed, I think, how...
It didn't seem right for the audience, an audience, so...
Yeah. And we may just save you the agony.
Yeah, right.
It was a good conversation for us, but I don't think it will come across. So this is us being... Transparent, analyzing. So we agree on that. That's good. All right. Good job, buddy.
I'm drinking my vitamins right now. I'm drinking a Tennant shake. Dr. Jerry Tennant Protocol. Look him up.
Yeah. Very high quality vitamins. It's in a shake.
Yeah. And then I put blueberries and a banana and about a half a cup of orange juice in it. The reason, well, I like the flavor, but the reason for the orange juice is the banana will cause foaming, and the orange juice defoams it. Yeah. Oh. I learned that a long time ago when I was drinking. Oh, geez.
Were they egg
30 shakes? Plus years ago when I was drinking protein shakes, and the protein tasted like chalk back then. It was terrible.
Probably was chalk.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of calcium carbonate in it.
Yeah.
We get our protein from stone. Carbonate is stone. And so, yeah, I was drinking. And then I started drinking Shaklee. A lot of people listen to this. If they're my age, they'll remember Shaklee. Mm-hmm. And they came out with a banana protein shake. And it was like the best banana smoothie you ever had, and I put strawberries in it so I could have a banana strawberry protein smoothie. And yes, I would drop a couple of eggs in, and most of the time I just drank my eggs. But yeah, that was the good old days.
Yep.
Trying to be strong and fit, and I was racing motocross, and so I was looking for stamina and strength. And
so it's an easy way to get some nutrition in, rather than
a shake. Yeah, I've always made shakes. Yeah, when we first got together, you probably thought I was weird because I took all these vitamins and stuff.
I didn't think it was so weird, but I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was a lot of vitamins.
Yeah.
Well, spare no expense on your nutrition. That doesn't mean you have to find the most expensive things, but that's one of my axioms, is you should always have the best food you can possibly afford. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's good advice when you consider, how much of your life depends on your health, and especially later in years, how much time and money and effort you'll put into maintaining your health.
Anyways. Oh, I'm surprised all these people. Well, I'm not surprised.
Are you getting judgmental again?
I'm going to judge the fuck out of everything. I'm not. I'm just saying that I listen to a ton of podcasts, and of course podcasters they're only going to talk about what makes money, and it's all directed in that direction. So, but water, obviously. Food, obviously. I mean, they talk about sleep and all this stuff. I mean, you can go a hell of a long time, and I have, without regular sleep. But if you're not fully hydrated and you're not eating good food, you can't do anything without proper hydration and good food. Your brain doesn't work properly, your muscles don't work properly, your joints ache. I'd say 90% of the health problems in the United States are due to dehydration or toxic water.
Yeah.
Because then your internal organs are overworking, your kidneys are being damaged, even if you have a lot of toxicity, your liver is working overtime. And and chloride and fluoride do that. Those are toxins. Mm-hmm. So you can't be drinking those. If you truly think, and I'm sorry for my second grade mentality, but if you truly think that fluoride is good for your teeth, then use your city water to rinse your mouth and spit it out, because that's where your teeth are. You don't drink it and it goes to your teeth. That's not how it works. Your teeth absorb minerals from whatever you put in your mouth. And so having if you talk to a dentist that's holistic, a natural dentist, they will have you have a mineral mouth rinse. They will tell you the things to eat and to chew on, and it's very good to chew. A lot of people have problems with their mouth and their jaw and their teeth because they're not chewing anything that's hard. And I'm not talking about marbles. I'm talking about meat. I'm talking about eating a carrot right out of the garden.
You're exercising your muscles and your tendons,
and you're pushing
in your mouth.
You're pushing the nerves in your jaw. You're telling your body that your teeth. It's like a workout. Your teeth need more And so then your body says, oh, let's absorb minerals from what's in our mouth.
Let's fortify this.
Yeah. I heard this really great. I was listening to, what's the name of it? I was listening to an audiobook that Matthew recommended. And in there, the one little thing, this guy, he was in the Amazon. He gets kidnapped by a tribe. He lives with them for several years. Finally, he ends up leaving, kind of gets away. They were using him to be able to get guns, right? So the whole premise of the story is they kidnapped him, they kind of brainwashed him into being a tribes member, and then because he was white, they used him to go to the market to buy guns, but he didn't know where he was, and so it was really hard for him to try and communicate and stuff about everything. And so he did. He got guns for him, and then they could hunt, and then they could kill other tribes. That's what the chief wanted to do, because they were cannibals too, so they would eat.
And this was a true story.
Part of their enemy. Oh, totally true. Yeah.
Wow.
But here's what I get out of the story.
Yeah.
He says the tribes people would make this vegetable paste. They would cook it and cook it and cook it, and it was a concentrate, and they would put a little piece of it in their water. So they never drank straight water. It was always, it had minerals in it, right? So he said sometimes that's all they would be out on. They'd be out in the jungle, and that's all they would have for days because they're hunting, right? And they didn't kill anything. And so they would drop this concentrated vegetable paste that was cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked. And in my mind, in today's society, they would say, well, they cooked all the good stuff out of it, but they were cooking it down to the minerals.
Yeah.
And they drop it in their water, and he said they never drank straight water. They drank this vegetable water.
Wow.
Yeah, and they would live off of it sometimes for days. And he said, I never got hungry. And
wow.
Yeah, so that's what I took out of that entire story. I mean, they did the whole ayahuasca, journeying, and he ended up talking to the panther and all that kind of stuff. And that's all well and good, but, I mean, in my mind, I'm kind of like, well, what's a panther going to say to you, I like monkeys, it's my favorite food. Beware in the jungle, go over there to hunt, I mean, not putting it down. I believe in animal spirits and animal medicine and the the spirit of the jungle and all this stuff. And then because I tell my spirit of the jungle story from Colombia, that was an intense, but I didn't learn anything from that spirit, not yet, because I haven't tried to. But yeah, that's what I got out of that, is they cook down vegetable and
they had their own electrolyte drink.
Right, electrolytes, minerals. It just blew me away. And you think about that, the more minerals you have in your body, the more connected you're going to be. Your neurons, your nerves, everything's going to be connected because the minerals are the conductors.
A friend the other day posted on Facebook a page from a book she was reading that was all the connections, when you have the proper amount, I think it was trace minerals.
Yeah.
And the chain reactions, what it causes in your body. And it's fascinating and even just look up magnesium and all the things that it is the key to other functions working in your body.
So I've been low on magnesium in the past. Magnesium has a lot to do with balance too. I know that.
Like physical balance?
Yeah, because of the athletics that I've done, martial arts and motocross and stuff. And when you're low on magnesium, you can get off balance easy.
Wow.
I think it has to do partly with people say they feel dizzy, that kind of thing.
Well, I ordered a test from Ricola.com that will be testing our vitamin D levels, omega, and magnesium. So that'll be interesting to find out.
Now you got me. I'm going to grab one of my trace mineral tabs.
Yeah, so that will be interesting to see where we're actually at and how we feel. And we're coming off of winter here. We're at the beginning of April, and so we'll be able to see, purely based upon our supplements, what our vitamin D levels are like. And so that's a good baseline point to take a test. And then later in the year, later at the end of summer, we'll take another test and see what our vitamin D levels are at. Because we supplement with vitamin D through our our multivitamins, and we get, well, the Tenant has 10,000 international units, which will sound like a ton to most people, but that's actually a good amount to help people stay at healthy levels, from what I understand, to stay at healthy levels and to start building up if they're low.
Well, if you have to, so here's a description. We'll call this the health episode, or the vitamin episode, or the brain chemical health magnesium mineral episode. We'll think of it. I'll think about it. So
balance.
Here's what I tell people when they start taking magnesium. I say, we look at the bottle and it says take 2 or whatever it says. Take 1 of these twice a day. I'll tell them start with that the first day. The second day, you can double up 1 of those. And then when you start having to go to the bathroom like 4 or 5 times a day, you're getting there, right? You're starting to get there. Your body's releasing, relaxing.
As your stools get softer.
Your stools get softer, but your body wants to release more. And so if you get splattery kind of release, then you're probably at the point where you've taken enough. And make sure that your water intake is at least half your body weight in ounces, and or a third more, because it takes, here's one thing that's going to blow people's mind. It takes 30 days to get rehydrated. Doesn't matter how much water you drink, because people that we talk to and we say, okay, you need to drink more water, and they go, man, I'm just peeing every half hour. I'm peeing all day long. I drink water and then I pee. Yes, absolutely. Your body is releasing toxins that have been building up, and it's going, oh, we finally have enough carrier to take these, to carry these toxins out and release them.
I equate an analogy that I talk about with drinking enough water is like, okay, let's say you have a big hardwood floor to clean, and you have this little pail, and you fill it 1/4 with water.
Yeah.
And the floor is dirty. You're not going to get the floor clean.
No.
You need to have a big bucket of water, big pail, and usually you need to dump out the bucket. The moral of the story is you need plenty of water to do a good cleanup job. And that's even just once you're maintaining, like you're cleaning your floor once a week, then you can do the half pail of water. Or
I have a good analogy for you.
All right.
So I have to clean tanks on my machines, right?
Yep.
So one tank is 55 gallons, one tank is 25 gallons, that kind of stuff, right? So I pull the tank out from under the machine, I look at the tank, and I go, okay, there's a lot of little metal chips and gunk in the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So I literally have to vacuum all of that out. So I vacuum all of that water out. I vacuum all of the stuff. Then I get in there and I dry wipe everything. Then I fill the tank 1/4 full, and then I vacuum it out again. And then I fill it 1/4 full, I vacuum it out again. And then I fill it half full, and then I run it through the system. And then I have to vacuum it out again.
Wow.
Yes. So
That's quite a process.
when I say I have to clean a tank, that's why I'm down there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So that's like... It relates, because that's like your intestinal tract, right? Because I have to run it through all the tubes in the machine, because there'll be little hang-ups here and there, and I want to get the particulate out. And so then I run it, and then I put a paper filter over the metal screen filter, so I capture the fine particles that come out of the system.
Wow.
And then I roll up that toilet paper, that thin paper, and it's a filter paper. And I throw that away, and then I put a new one in, and I fill the tank with fresh water and coolant. We use a mixture of biodegradable coolant, and then the machine is ready to go.
Wow.
And that lasts for, you've seen all the barrels out here.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't last that long. The better we filter, the less time we have to clean,
yeah.
Right? Which is the analogy for the body. If you have good, clean, filtered water, then you can deal with some of the contaminants in the food.
Well, and your body has all kinds of nooks and crannies. The water has to go between the cells, and
if there's a toxin, the body's gonna, if it can't release it, it's gonna store it. And it might store it in muscle tissue. It might store it in fat.
Oftentimes in fat.
Yep. And you need to be able to have enough water to continually flush that stuff out. And then you need motion.
Yep. Motion is the wringing of that
washcloth.
That rag, yeah. So
everybody's going to be like, oh, what is all this?
If this stuff is new to you, though, make sure to find a good good is hard to find these days.
Yeah.
I do think a number of functional medicine practitioners are more educated as far as these sorts of things go. So if I were to generalize and give a general recommendation, I would say look for a functional medicine practitioner. And because even magnesium, how wonderful it is, if you have blood pressure issues or on blood pressure medication, it's something that you still want to watch. And so working with someone who is aware of those things if you're on medications. But first of all, just water makes such a huge difference.
Water, like I said, would clean up 90% of the health problems in the world. There is a book out by a doctor that said he had a higher rate than that, I believe, for the world, for sickness and illness and everything. He said good, clean drinking water would cure 90+%.
It's like you're not sick, you're dehydrated or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a book.
Or is that a different one?
Well, there's a couple. In the last 35 years, I've read a few books. And so, the one that you said is a title, and that one's written by a doctor. And then there was, I think the other one is a statement by a doctor that 90+% of all illness would be cured if everybody had good, clean, filtered drinking water. And like we said, that's not reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis water will pull the minerals out of your body because the water is neutral. It's devoid, and it's less than neutral, but it's devoid of everything.
I've heard it called hungry water.
Yes, it's an industrial process.
The reason water has minerals in it naturally when it's in a natural environment is because it is seeking out that balance of mineralization.
Yep.
And if you strip it of the minerals, which reverse osmosis and distillation does,
water's a carrier.
Yeah,
it'll absorb what it can.
And so what happens is if you drink distilled or reverse osmosis water, it's going to take the minerals out of your body. And I have an example, a personal example.
Yeah.
We had, in partway through our marriage and health and wellness, you could say even career in a way, we had gotten on the reverse osmosis bandwagon. We were living in an area with city water, and now there are better filtration options if you live in the city, and for filtering out chlorine and fluoride, but at that time the only option was reverse osmosis or bringing in water. We didn't know.
We
about
had reverse
Valley.
osmosis to pull the fluoride, and we had a chlorine filter for the
That's right.
for the chlorine. Yeah.
And so after about a year or so, my teeth started turning translucent.
Transparent.
Well, they weren't completely transparent,
Right.
But noticeably losing their density in minerals.
They were becoming clear. The white was going away.
Right. Yep. And I started supplementing with some minerals, also with salts.
The first thing I got was the Arctic Moss toothpaste.
Huh.
You remember that? That was the best toothpaste we ever had. Yeah, that started helping. But then salts, because you needed to get the minerals back.
And more macro minerals, magnesium, calcium in balance, and of course getting off of that water.
Yeah.
And
that's when we started drinking Mountain Valley. We were having it delivered to the house.
Or we moved. Did we move?
No,
Okay.
Because it was in Minnetrista.
Okay. So that's the case history, personal experience, and my teeth look normal now.
Yeah, nice and white. Your chompers are white.
Well, more importantly, in this case, filled in.
Yeah.
They don't look translucent at all.
Yeah, you could start to see the tubules, because your teeth are tubes. There are layers and layers and layers of tubes just going back and forth, back and forth.
So there you go. And if you're interested in like John talked about the paste thing earlier, that account is not in this book, but I'm going to recommend a book if that kind of stuff appeals to you, is Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon and is based primarily on the works of Weston A. Price, who was a dentist that traveled around the world. I believe it was in the 1930s. And he was a dentist, is set out to, from what I understand, see and even prove that the dental health care at the time in the United States and the developed countries was superior for oral health. And what he actually found was very much the opposite, that the more primitive the culture, the better bone structure they had in their face and their mouth, and typically no cavities at all.
Right. And their teeth were usually coated with a greenish looking...
Or just a slime.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was always green, but it was... Yeah, so probably not appealing to us, but, for overall health.
They were healthy.
Yes. They didn't have to have wisdom teeth removed because they had enough room in their mouth for it. Because you wonder, gosh, what did people do before they could remove wisdom teeth?
And they were very fertile. And they had practices for fertility. Mm-hmm. So they would eat certain foods and that kind of thing. Another book that I would recommend that got me started a long time ago is Optimum Sports Nutrition, Your Competitive Edge by Michael Colgan. And Michael Colgan was a guy that trained Olympic athletes, and this was 35 years ago. I would put this book up against everything we can read nowadays, because that book gave me such a foundation, and that's all you need. Mm-hmm. You need to understand water, you need to understand food. And from there, if you want to supplement, that's great. You're going to be balanced if you're eating right, you're drinking right, and even training can be just walking down the road for people. You don't have to train. So you can read a book by an Olympic sports coach, and they were testing, tenths of seconds, because that's the level that these athletes are at. They run the same every time, and when they have 0.3 of a second improvement, they know that they're doing something different with their nutrition. Mm-hmm. That's how accurate this stuff is. So I would recommend that book. And remember, if you want hidden messages in water, message me on Instagram or Twitter. If you're on Facebook and you can find me, you can do it there too. But just message me hidden messages in water, and then reference the J&T Marital Arts podcast. And if you're the first one, you'll get a free book. Yep.
A picture book.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures in it of the symmetrical and asymmetrical ice crystals.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
It's amazing.
It's a good one to share with your family if you're concerned about your family's health, to show them what's in the water.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to deny when you see the pictures.
Yeah. So should we wrap this one up?
Yeah, maybe we should, and get on with...
Yeah, I got to get going. All right, everybody, have a great day.
Bye-bye.